Next one is Weber. So this is Weberianism. Complicated. Max Weber is famously called the ghost of Marx. He writes just a little bit after Karl Marx finishes writing. And he thinks, if I'm being honest, he thinks Marx is a little bit simple, a little bit basic. Maybe one weakness of Marxism is that Marx's idea of two classes is just too basic. You know, what about the middle class? Like, they exist now, so he's got it wrong. Weber is a really, really clever dude. But he's kind of inspired by Marx, so he likes him, but he wants to build on him a little bit. That's the kind of relationship that they've got. So Weberianism is also a conflict theory, because Weber thinks that people in the world are competing for power and privilege and wealth and all that comes with it. But he's not as simplistic as Marx. In fact, he's going to make it a little bit more complicated. So Weber goes, yes, your class is important. But because Marx is too simple, he's going to add, he says there's going to be some other factors, though, that are going to affect my identity. And those other factors are status and party. Your class, he would say, is your market position. The amount of money that you can make. Think about it. Paul Pogba might not be super useful, but he makes a hell of a lot of money. The same for Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. They've got really strong market position, so they can earn quite a bit of cash. That affects their class. And that's a big old contributing factor to their life, but it's not everything. Because the other thing is your status, and this is your social standing, your position, your value to society. Status is also very important, because there could be people who exist in society with no money whatsoever, but a lot of status. Think about a priest, an imam. They might have no cash whatsoever. They've devoted a life to a religion. But are you going to say that in a society they've got no power? Of course they do, but their power is going to come through their status. So it's looking at it in a different way. And also the final way, which is party. And your party is your political power. And often what you find is that Weber will say it's the richest people in society might have all of these. Look at Boris Johnson, for example. He's an MP. Well, he's a Prime Minister, so he's got a lot of political, he's got a lot of party power. He's got extremely high status by virtue of his job. And guess what? He was born incredibly rich and wealthy. So his class is very high as well. So he gets all of the schools. But then your local priest, he might be low on money, high in status, and maybe he's got a little bit of political influence, but who knows? So Weber allows for an interplay of these different factors, which will affect a person's power and a person's life chances. That's why Weber is kind of like an advancement on Marx. And it's useful. I think it's a really positive thing as an evaluation point. He makes it more complicated. And I certainly adhere more to Weber's point of view than I do Marx. But Marx would suggest that this is the biggest one. He's underrepresenting how obvious that money is going to be. Because Marx would say you forget about these. Once you've got all the money, you've got everything. So Weber and Marx, very similar, but in some ways a little bit different. My only problem with Weber is, and this is probably why I like him, is he can't go on the seesaw. You think because he's a conflict theory, he would sit on the left-hand side. But good old Weber, he likes to sit a little bit on the fence, because he doesn't actually write for a reason. He just writes to understand things. So you could probably push him a little bit more over here, but he's not necessarily wanting change. He's not really going to balance the seesaw. He just wants to understand what's going on in society. He's not saying it's good or it's bad. He's just trying to come up with a reason why things happen. So for me, I don't bother even putting Weber on the seesaw. And it's still unbalanced. Luckily, there's one more theory to balance it out.